Hi, welcome to the meeting. It is Wednesday night, and I'm happy that you're here. So let's start check-in. Who are you? What are you up to? What are you looking for in the next 30 days? Check in if you want. Let's see. Meg and Brian, go.
Hi, we're Meg and Brian. I don't know, you take it over. It's been one of those days.
It's been a very long day. Having problems with our tenants that we just acquired with our property. So what we need in the next 30 days is to figure out how to get our tenant out. The best way to handle getting our tenant out. And what else are we up to? We're looking at properties. And we have a couple leads out right now, so we're just waiting to hear back. And I'm going to go past my real estate license test tomorrow, not take it, but pass it. And
Yay!
to move my business forward. Other than that, we're just always looking for money and properties. So if you have anything in the York County area, send it our way.
Awesome. Good to see you, Kyle Jenkins. That is a very fancy place you're at.
Like that? That's in Charleston.
It's Charleston?
Yeah.
I like it. All right, Mr. Man, check in.
We're still the same. Still looking for properties in Kings Mountain, Gastonia, Charlotte, Monroe area. Also looking for any recommendations on lenders, if y'all got any.
Awesome. All right, happy you're here. Anna, Sean, go for it.
Hi, yeah, we just had our meeting with Randy. That was awesome. In the next 7 days, we need help critiquing our offer letter because we found 2 homes we want to send offer letters to, and we are stuck. So that's what I need the next 7 days. So we need the next 7 days.
Awesome, perfect.
Sounds like we have some open floor topic.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Is there somebody on an iPhone? Just so I know. All right, well, if you are somebody, feel free to say hi. Curtis Waters, I know you're up to 5 million and 2 things, so check in.
Hey, Curtis Waters, senior partner in a real estate firm focused on acquisition, renovation, and rentals. Also broker in charge with Real Estate Realty. Currently, I'm involved in multiple renovation for rentals. Got a number of closings on deck. So it's going to be a busy end of the year.
Awesome. So my name is Adina. Currently what I'm up to is I am taking people and I am showing them properties, and then I am putting them into homes and getting them to submit applications. So that's currently what I'm up to. So what do I need to move that forward in the next 7 days? Well, I just, I could once again use more contractors, because the quicker that these houses can get finished, the more I can put people into them. So there you go. All right, Miss Laszlo. Oh, hi, Anissa.
Hey, lady, how are you?
What's up?
Hey.
Girl, check in.
I am Anissa. What I'm working on is getting my property renovated ASAP with the help of the gorgeous one who's on the line right now, Adina. She's helping me getting the property up and in there. And I know a couple of people that does maintenance and work and stuff like that. So let me know what you need, and I'll see if I have some contractors available for you as well.
Yeah, I can always hook them up with work. That would be awesome.
Okay.
Happy to have you here.
Yes.
Eric G. How are you?
I am well. How are you all tonight?
I'm actually really good. So why don't you check in for us? Who are you? What are you up to? And what do you need to move your business forward in the next 30 days?
Well, give me 1 second. Can you
Sure.
hear me now?
I can hear you perfect.
Yes. So my name is Eric. I am actually I was invited by a guy named Audrey that I met. He's investor wholesaler.
I love him and know him, of course.
Great guy. And so I told him that I'm newer to wholesaling for now. And I am looking to build my business on that and begin wholesaling soon. I don't want to be like everyone else and jump straight to it and screw everything up or have bad numbers or have bad comps or so I'm just trying to currently I'm just trying to network and see what I can learn from other people. I really want to learn about creative financing, because I've researched and read that there's always a possibility about creative financing. And if you from what I can tell and from what I've seen, a lot of wholesalers in particular have lost many deals due to the reason that they do not know how to use or don't even know about creative financing.
Gotcha. So we have a section. First of all, I'm so happy you're here. Thanks for coming.
Thank you very much.
Smart of you to network, because we have some of the best people on this call tonight. So just to let you know, we have a thing called open floor where you'll be able to ask as many questions as you want. So happy that you're here.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
So, oh my gosh, here we go. The grand finale. Bonnie Laszlo, check in.
Hey guys, of course we're in the middle of 20 plus renovations at the moment and working on some closings that'll be taking place. I've got 2 more properties that came under contract. Those will be renovation projects as well. And living the dream. And in the next, I would say 30 days, I am looking for more time as always. And I would say right now, just more contractors to get all of these 20 projects done.
Yep. Awesome. Look at that. Look who it is. Trevor. You want to check in, buddy?
Hey, everybody. How's it going? This weekend got my NACA thing, the first counseling session or whatever you may call it. And then next steps is just going to be finding a house. So working on that, driving for dollars, and going to keep looking around and trying to run the numbers in some deals and see what I'm working with.
Awesome. Look who popped in. Patrick O'Donnell. Do you want to check in?
Yeah, I've been here the whole time. It's just taken a while to get my computer up and going. So yeah, checking in, working on several closing files for working with Bonnie and Curtis, working on some of the renovation on the back end of things, and we're still coming out of the first of the month, so keeping up with those files as well. So the next 30 days, just here to keep assisting the team with everything that we're talking about. So it's just a big push till the end of the year. And as crazy as it's been as positive as that as well. So if there's any questions that I can try and help assist with tonight, I'll be happy to do that as well.
Awesome. Guys, let's go into wins. What have we got? What happened exciting, or not that exciting, but just good in real estate to you this week?
I think Curtis had some big wins with helping pull some buyers together. And I think he even got some land today or something, I heard. So that's a win.
Yes, win to Curtis on that.
Thank you.
That is awesome. All right, any other wins?
Got another win for Curtis as well, because he's the one that referred us to Randy, the accountant, and our consultation went really well.
Good. Glad that worked out.
Thank you.
Normally I recommend Eric, but I know Eric is very busy and he sends a lot of people to his brother Randy.
Yeah, he said we'd be getting shipped off to Eric after we're kind of up to speed.
Good. All right, glad that worked out.
Thank you.
Awesome. Anybody else? Okay, I'm gonna let it go with only those couple wins because I want to get an open floor anyway. So does anybody have any property pitches, anything you're pitching, or any reverse property pitches, anything you're looking for?
We're
No?
always,
No one's looking for any properties?
we are. Sorry, it took me a minute to get the mute off. We're always looking for 2-bedroom and up, York County, South Carolina. We're starting to expand to anywhere in York County, 100,000 and under for a single family, up to about 500 for a multi. Anything y'all find, we're interested and ready to go. And we'll even take ones that we have to evict the tenant 2 days after closing.
Awesome. Guys, do you want to shout your number out or put it in the chat so Bonnie can put it up so people know how to contact you?
Sure. It's 803-412-6098. Again, 803-412-6098. That would be Meg. She actually answers her phone.
Guys, I like the lighting. It's like you have one of those expensive ring lights that those YouTubers wear to like smooth your skin out.
No, completely washed out. That's why I didn't turn the other lights on, but I think it's these lights that wash us out.
The office should be done in 2 weeks. We'll have 4K and professional lighting and sound. So we'll have better soon.
I mean, I actually liked it, but but that's intense.
Brian,
Okay, so
I get to look at Brian in high definition?
Technically, yeah, up to 8K if I want to.
Wow. Okay. I'll prepare myself.
somebody just texted me. They were like, "Your brush does not look really good on the camera like that." Okay, so any other property pitches or reverse property pitches?
I'm always looking for properties under 100,000 per door. So homes under 100,000 or multifamily under 100,000 per.
And Curtis, how the heck would they reach you if they need to?
In the ether, or they can call 704-564-5412. 704-564-5412.
Awesome. All right, any other property pitches or reverse property pitches? Dun, dun, dun. Cool. Needs and wants, guys. If you need anything or want anything, post it in the chat. Bonnie can post it right up there with your email or phone number or however you want people to get a hold of you. But for now, let's go into open floor, shall we? I know that you guys came here for a reason. So who wants to be the first one to ask a question and get an answer? Go for it.
Okay, so now I'm about to get in on this. So we've got a 5.5 home that is up for rent, and we want to do a master lease on it after that conversation. And we've done the numbers on it. In regards to numbers, we're like, how much would we rent each room out? How much would that rent need to be after 3 or 5 years so that we can pay for it at the end of it? And we came into a snag that I wanted to ask about. We weren't really sure. We gave her 2 options, and I went through Bonnie's Hobby Millionaire offer letter template, and I put that all in. But I wasn't sure how to do the purchase price. They bought it last year at $408,000, and then later on in that year, it's now $512,000. And so it jumped up in price. So I wasn't sure what the purchase price would be, because that's also going to determine how much the monthly cost has to be and how many rooms I got to charge and things like that. So how do I basically give them options of the purchase price? How do I determine that? That makes sense.
What can it rent for?
They're asking for $3,500 a month, and that's exactly what it can rent for. And that's common in the area. We live right nearby. That home is only $512,000, but it's surrounded by $2 million homes. So it'll get there, and it can rent for $3,500.
So you're going to rent each room for 700?
So we were gonna rent 3 rooms for 700, and they have 2 masters where even the bathroom is its own freaking room. So we were gonna rent that for 800, each room for 800.
So
each master.
you're looking at 3,700 a month, and they want 3,500 a month.
Yes, but we were gonna offer lower just because I like to offer lower. The average around there is like 3,300. So I was gonna ask them like maybe 3,000 or 3,200 a month, and then we take over the 500. Anything 500 and less, we do the maintenance on. Just trying to negotiate. So I guess the question
last week they were trying to rent it out for 2,800.
Yeah, a couple months ago they were trying to rent it out for 2,800, and then they took it off listing and they asked for 35. So I'm like, if you were willing to take lower, then I'm going to offer lower.
Okay, so the challenge is that's a pretty pricey property.
So if it goes empty, would you be able to afford it?
No.
Okay.
Okay.
So yeah, what if you have one tenant move out and now you're in the negative?
Vacancy rate.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, they can hear you right.
I know.
Okay.
Just saying, I missed that.
Okay, so basically look for things that we can afford on our own and then rent out according to that.
Well, if you're in a situation where one tenant leaves and you're digging in your pocket to make a payment, that's a red flag right there.
That's not a business. That's an alligator.
Okay. Okay.
It'll eat you alive.
Okay, we had a second home that's a 6-bed, 5-bath, and it was they were asking for 2,300, and I was like, oh, that's great, and it's like a huge basement that even has its own kitchen, and it's near the university area where we used to live. So we're trying to look for areas that we've been to or we know, because as an alumni from Queens, I was going to go ahead and ask the school to set me up with them so we can get students in, so that we'd never have to like worry about tenants. But the numbers were great, but they were big, so.
So is Queens doing in-person classes?
They are starting January. Yes, we're going back to class.
And here's the thing: you don't know how long that's gonna run. You're looking at very pricey properties to make a business out of.
Okay.
So I'm not going to tell you that what you're doing is necessarily wrong. The question is, if you lose a tenant, what's your risk there?
Yeah, definitely. We were just looking for homes that had a lot of rooms, but that's kind of where all the prices start going up. So,
right.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
Well, I will tell you, you can find houses that have 5 or 6 rooms that you're not going to pay that much money for. You're looking in pricey areas of town. It also increases your risk.
Okay. All right. We can do that. So do it. Thank you.
Meg, did you have a challenge with a tenant that you'd like to no longer have as a tenant?
Yes. So try and make this long story short. We just got our rental property closed on. We already had tenants in it. It's a couple, not married. And when we were trying to get their rent collected for the first time, they're not responding. They have not paid rent. The old landlord even reached out, tried to get them, to respond, nothing. Finally found out today that, and we did send out a notice yesterday, a 30-day notice to terminate the lease, because we did have a clause in the lease when we acquired the property that said that the lease could be terminated upon sale of the property. So because they weren't responding, we sent out a message sent out a 30-day notice to terminate the lease. Today, we found out that the tenants had a domestic dispute. He beat her unconscious and was arrested. So he is currently in jail. So we are trying to figure out if we just let the 30-day notice to terminate the lease go and just do it that way, or if we should try to file an eviction, I forget what it's called now, the quit claim to get them out faster, that we can basically evict them immediately because of criminal activity.
Yeah,
So we're just
criminal
trying to-
activity normally, at least in North, I'm not sure about South, but in North, it doesn't include a domestic dispute. So normally if someone in a relationship says, hey, I am facing violence, they're going to file with the court a restraining order, and then they have certain abilities to get out of the lease. I'd recommend that you talk to a South Carolina eviction attorney if you've given them the 30-day note. The other thing to keep in mind is most tenants, when this happens to them, say, well, I'm not going to pay you. I'm simply going to use your money to find another place.
Which, I'll be honest with what our payments are on this one. I'll eat the $300 for the month that we have to pay out just to get a bad tenant out. That's just worth it to me. And we actually have another tenant who wants to move into the house. So we have somebody lined up. So the biggest problem we're worried about really is if I'm kind of expecting at the end of the 30 days, we don't actually have to physically evict.
Since one of them is in jail, is the property vacant at all?
It is currently vacant.
She left the property. She had friends come and pick up her clothing for her and stuff, and she said that she would have to get the sheriff to come back with her to get her, any other belongings that she wanted, because she was not going back to the property.
Is power off?
No, power is still on. I checked that. I also was thinking it might be worth serving them with a 24-hour notice to inspect, because that is also in our lease. I have not talked to the female yet, but the previous landlord is. He happens to be a South Carolina attorney, which kind of helps. He talked to her through Facebook and kind of gave us the heads up of what was going on.
Well, since one of them's out, vacant, and the power is on, at some point it's going to go off.
Right.
And at that point, that will be considered abandonment.
But ask the girl for the keys.
But could you get the keys from the girl, in essence, almost like a cash for keys, and you can bypass the lengthy legal process?
That's another thing that we weren't sure on how to handle, because if we could get her out, we think that she would just move out, where we wouldn't have to do the eviction. But how do we handle that since they're both on the lease? If he is
Well, once you get the keys, the power is going to run out. Like, why would she continue to pay the utility? And how is he going to pay it if he's in jail? Once you have the keys, she's not going to pay utilities.
Right.
And at that point,
We don't know when he's going to get out of jail. I don't think he's in for a long time. The way she made it sound like he was going to get out in a few days, so we don't know exactly when he's getting out. So that's the problem.
But if you get the keys from her, she's giving you possession back, and that gives you
Right.
ground to stand on.
Okay, so a single person on the lease can give possession back even though two were signed on it?
Once you get your possession on it, so if she turns in the keys, you turn on utilities in your name, you've got possession, and you got.
Okay.
Then he has no claim to it.
That works.
If it goes past the eviction timeline.
Okay. Thank you, Patrick. Thank you, guys. Yeah, we'll do that.
And of course, that's conditional past the abandonment timeline.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you just need to find out when that is, how long that's been going on for.
Everything in South Carolina seems to be, everything I'm reading, and I do obviously have to talk to the attorney, but it seems to be 5 days, 14 at the most. Everything seems to be a lot quicker.
Yeah, everything's definitely quicker in South Carolina.
And my understanding is also that it could be dependent on by county as well. So you'll want to consult. If you're talking to legal attorneys, they would know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've just started. We kind of got hit with this midday today.
Okay. So, of course, one of the challenges nationwide now is the non-payment of rent. Tenants can fill out an affidavit from the CDC. And so if you're evicting for non-payment of rent, that is a challenge. So our attorneys are recommending that we look at eviction for some reason other than non-payment of rent. For instance, tenant has reached the end of the lease, whether it happened, today, it happened 6 months, a year ago. So on a month-to-month basis, you give them 30 days notice. If they don't turn in keys, you're filing eviction for something other than non-payment of rents. Now, Patrick and I, we're not attorneys, but this is how we understand how it works and what our attorneys are telling us.
And that's a North Carolina attorney. I don't know if that's the same for South Carolina.
Well, North Carolina is even more restrictive, and in most states now for non-payment of rent, as I understand from our attorneys, that once you file eviction for non-payment of rent, or even if you haven't filed yet, if a tenant can't pay, if at some point during this process they present you with a CDC affidavit, that stops the eviction or the chance of eviction. But
we know somebody who just did one. They actually did file the CDC paperwork and thought they were going to stop the eviction, but at least with their experience in South Carolina, the judge looked and said, they're not evicting you for payment. They're evicting you for another term of the lease. And the judge pretty much just shut that down very quickly.
Correct.
Yeah.
But also, just for clarification as well, I think we have to give them that CDC affidavit.
In North Carolina, if you're filing for non-payment,
right,
you have to give them the affidavit. So in North Carolina, you're essentially giving the tenant their way not to pay. That is not the case, as I understand, in South Carolina. So currently we look at another breach of the lease in order to use that to file eviction. Okay. All right, what other questions do we have tonight? Challenges, gaps in knowledge, how can we help?
Hi, Curtis. Have you ever heard of the Forfeited Land Commission?
Yeah, that they have those in counties in South Carolina. So I have not seen that in North Carolina. Is that what you're asking about?
Yes.
Yeah.
Someone brought that to my attention about like buying land through that. Is that feasible? What's the pros and cons on it?
So the way that works in South Carolina, if you don't pay your property taxes, October, November, and it depends on the year and when the date falls. Sometime in the fall, there is a tax sale that happens in South Carolina counties. And what happens is you buy what's called a redeemable tax deed. And 12 months later, if that's not paid, the buyer of that deed can file for a tax deed. Now, in many cases, no one buys those. And so the forfeited land commissions in those counties end up holding, they end up taking those. So they own them. You can go right to the tax collector. They have a list, and you can buy them right from the tax collector. Generally, what they want to get from you is they want to get the amount of the tax that's there. But the question you have to ask yourself is, why didn't anyone want these properties? Now, I will tell you there's a lot of them that I've seen that people have bought. They needed a lot of work. Maybe there's a change to the property. A new road was built. Well, this property is now desirable. Especially in our metro area, things are happening so fast. There could definitely be opportunities, but it's going to take a bit of research to find out what's there. Generally, I've seen counties even say, well, we're not going to give you the address. We're going to give you the tax parcel number. You got to do the work to look it up.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
I have a question. So there's this property down in Columbia, South Carolina, and I went to school at University of South Carolina, just graduated recently. I lived in the house next door, and I know that there were tenants that were paying $600 each for a 4-bedroom place. They bought the house, I believe, back in 2014 or 15 for like $87,000. They're obviously making a lot of money, and all the other houses on the street had tenants. However, I went back to visit recently, and they still did not have tenants. And that was maybe 2 months ago. And I know to this day, they still don't have tenants. They probably won't find tenants for the rest of the school year. I was wondering if you had any ideas on how I could capitalize on that, whether possibly trying to find like a master lease with option of, or try and arrange like a master lease with option to buy or something like that, because the house has been sitting vacant for a while. And I know in the past, before I've lived there, it's also been vacant. And it's a nice house. And it used to be a duplex. I think they turned it into a single family home, but it's got 4 bedrooms. All the other homes are rented on the street. And I know I could find people to live there if I was able to get that house under contract, just with no money to put down right now. I was just curious if you had any ideas on what I could do.
So if it's sitting there and it's not producing any income, you could certainly make an offer to the owner. Normally our recommendation is, rather than saying, hey, if you're looking to sell, I'm a buyer, you're going to get a lot more interest if you can make an actual offer. So make an offer on the house. One of the concerns a lot of investors have is, well, I don't know anything about the house. It may be in crummy shape. I may need to put 10, 20, 25,000 into it. The key thing is to get it under contract. And then when you go in and inspect it and see what it needs, you ask for credits at closing. A lot of this comes down to the psychology of, hey, Trevor offered me X for my house, and, hey, it's sitting here, it's making me no money. They sign and they start mentally spending the money. This also gives you the opportunity to not just offer cash, but let's face it, you could offer more, make it even more attractive if you could pay it out over time. So let's say you have a 4-bedroom, you could rent it for, I don't know, pick a number that makes sense. And you could either do a master lease, or if you got the terms right, you could even set up an owner finance situation. You're not going to want to use that term owner finance. That's what it is to you. But to the seller, you're going to go in and say, hey, I'll give you X number of dollars a month for X years.
Okay. Yeah, the only thing I was considering the master lease is just because I was trying to apply for the NACA loan. So I know until I have that home secured, I wouldn't be able to have any other property. So I was trying to find a way I could dodge around that and then still have the option to buy when the opportunity came up.
What if you bought it in an LLC?
Would that still be considered tied to me?
So I actually went on the Bigger Pockets, and not a volunteer, but someone who actually works at NACA had been asked that question, and they had said that it wouldn't have made a difference in regards to it not being your name. But I prefer to have more than one person tell me that before I'm like, oh, it won't work. But that's just what I have heard on it, because we were thinking the same thing. We're like, well, we'll buy with the LLC, but we'll have that in our name, they're not in our name, and so we're still kind of figuring that part out. But
Yeah,
just as a heads up.
keep in mind, if you're buying in the name of an entity, I don't think NACA is going to go in and look and say, oh, you own this house in an entity name. Whenever you're going in and you're buying in the name of an entity, you could just be the registered agent. You don't have to have any money in it.
Okay.
Or
Thank you
I
for
like the
looking into that.
options, like having the options with an entity. Because options, when good things happen, you're the guy. When bad things happen, you're not the guy. But if I'm going through NACA at the same time, and I didn't want to disrupt my program that I have going on, I like the idea of having that option with an entity. So that way it's kind of at a little bit of a arm's length at the same time.
I have a question regarding buying a home with the LLC. So aren't you not tax, but isn't your interest rate higher with an LLC versus just a regular person, I guess, or a homeowner?
That kind of depends on the lenders and what their rates are. But typically, personal loans get better rates than entity loans.
So
But right now, all loans are pretty reasonable now compared to any other time in history.
So the other thing that you're looking at when you get a loan in your personal name, that also means the deed is going to be in your personal name as well. One of the benefits of buying in an LLC is it's a limited liability company. So you are limiting your liability. Might cost you more, but as long as you run your LLC properly, you don't commingle, assets and monies, you should be able to keep that limited liability set up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The other thing, back to keeping it hidden, not necessarily hidden, but more separated. We've set our LLCs up a little bit differently. And this may not be right for everyone, but our LLC is actually owned by another LLC in another state who owns a couple of our other LLCs and trusts. But it happens to be a state that's very privacy right protective, where if you go to their state and ask who owns this, they say, we're not telling you. We don't have to disclose that. So for them to trace our LLC, it comes back to it's owned by another LLC in another state. It adds another layer, and it also, in our case, we're hoping adds another layer of protection.
Entity stacking, yeah. It's a good strategy, entity stacking. But you do have to
What
pick
is it called?
It's just another strategy with entity stacking.
Entity stacking?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
So the other thing to consider is I don't want you to consider some of these discussions as reasons not to get started and not to get something under contract and bought and get your investments going.
Yeah. Like
The other
minutia.
The other question for Trevor is, if it's a really good deal, you could always partner with somebody and keep your name out of it and just have a clause that after a certain amount of time, you either get paid X amount or you can pay X amount to take over the deal.
Interesting. All right. Well, if anyone's interested, I'll be down there this weekend. I'm going to do some digging around.
Take some pictures.
Will do.
So my recommendation to all of you is, you know, I get a lot of we get a lot of talk on these calls about I call them I need an LLC, I need an accountant, I need to find a good attorney, I need to get my marketing done, I need to get a website. You know, these all, I don't want for you to sit there and look at all these as a reason not to get something under contract. It's important to make offers, get deals, get things closed. So hopefully you get the point I'm making here.
But what happens if you get something on their contract and you don't have your LLC set up and it comes like time of closing? Then how could you transfer it from like your name to the LLC? Is that even possible?
So everything I contract, you would contract, say, Carla and/or assigns. That way you get ready to close. And if you want to put it into an entity, you can. Let's say something happens and you can't move forward with it, but it's a great deal. You could assign it to somebody. It gives you flexibility.
So you assign it basically at the time of closing.
Pretty close to it.
The other thing is, in North and South Carolina, I don't think it's ever taken me more than 96 hours to set up an LLC. I've set up a dozen or two of them and gotten them official, recognized with my EIN, and then just have to quickly type up some of the required things to put it in an LLC name. You'll have to co-sign the loan at that point with a personal guarantee, but a lot of the time you could still get it over into the business.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Question. We've got a property that we've agreed on a price. Once we had it inspected, we found out that we had moisture, we had some rotten wood timbers underneath the house, some piers were missing. We had done our initial inspection and found some rotted wood, you know, at the base of some of the outdoors where the wood made contact with like a deck or something like that. Knew
Right.
there were boards, knew there was loose handrails. None of that was huge, but we hadn't looked underneath the house. Now we're finding out all of this stuff with mold, mildew, etc. And we're trying to get an idea of how to negotiate repairs versus price, purchase price, etc. Anybody have a clue as to how we should kind of move forward? We've got a GC going in Saturday to take a look and give us a price. The termite guy gave us a price of taking care of the termites and doing some ventilating and getting the moisture content down.
Right.
But we're not real sure how to proceed.
Okay. So, you know, any of these things are a phone call. One of the challenges, of course, is if something is called mold, you really can't call something mold unless you're a mold expert. So in my word, that's a 4-letter word. I prefer to use mildew.
Right.
Generally, and that's underneath the house.
Right.
Yeah, that normally happens because there's some moisture underneath the house. Either the yard isn't graded properly. When it rains, all the water is falling off the house because there's no gutters, or if they are gutters, they're discharging right, right there at the property and just running into the crawl space. So shop around your termite inspection, shop around your termite treatment. We had 2 companies that we were using that were charging $150 for a termite letter. I found another company that would go out and look for free. They charge $65 if you want a letter. And, they're more like, instead of $1,500, they're more like $700 for termite treatment.
Do you have their name?
Let's see, in the Charlotte area, AAAA Bugman. So look them up. Come up with a price. And what I normally do is at the end of my inspection, well, before the end of my inspection period, my request back to the seller is, hey, I need a credit of X number of dollars at closing. Normally, I don't ask for a reduction in the sales price. It, again, comes down to the psychology.
But it all comes out in the wash.
Yeah. Yeah, you're essentially paying X number of dollars less.
I got you.
Hey, I'm still going to pay your $64,000 price, but I'm going to need a $8,420 credit at closing.
I got you. Okay. And I did like your check-in that you were talking about. It'd be nice if we could get that set up in the area of the website, that we could go in and if we're looking for an attorney or whatever, that we would have a list that we could go into and check.
So if you go to our Facebook page, Hobby Millionaire Charlotte,
right,
with Bonnie Laszlo and team, that is the site that you can go in and ask those questions and get a response.
Cool. All right.
Okay.
And Kyle, I'm Chuck. I'm older Kyle.
Okay.
Curtis,
Thanks.
can I give you one suggestion on wording choice due to something that's happened with my day job? Don't call it anything. Don't call it mildew. Don't call it the other M word. Actually, just refer to it as biological growth. We just had to pay a very large fee because somebody said mildew and it turned out to be something else. And they said because we said that, they did not proceed with remediation, and it got worse. And to keep everything nice, we paid a lot of money out. The attorneys recommended biological growth. Let them decide to get it tested.
Okay. Biological growth. I like that.
Plus, it honestly sounds scary.
Hey, so the other thing that you're going to want to look at, of course, is if you're going to have a GC look at it, help them out. Give them a copy of the inspection report. So, that will make it easy. You're probably going to pay a higher cost if the GC has to go out and physically look at it. Imagine if you just gave him a copy of the inspection report. He didn't have to leave his house to go in and give you an estimate.
We already emailed that over to him, actually. As soon as we got in contact with him, we sent him a copy of both the termite inspection report and the inspection report from our inspector as well.
Okay. The other thing to look at, of course, with a termite report is to see how bad the termites are. In some cases, why would you treat something that termites have done so much damage to that you're probably better off replacing it? The other thing, Brian, with yours, what did you call it? Biological what?
Biological growth.
Okay. The other suggestion might be discoloration.
Yeah.
Okay. So, you know, when you're looking at working with the seller, if you've got a situation where you're talking with the seller and you say, hey, this property's got a lot of problems, perhaps the seller would prefer to fix it. You know, part of your negotiation approach may be, hey, you know, this is what was found. Here's the inspection report. What can you fix before closing?
Well, that's what our meeting was about yesterday. This is a no agent involved
Doesn't
closing.
matter.
So we know the owner, you know, and we had a meeting with him yesterday, and we talked through everything that our inspection report found and how he wanted to handle it, whether he wanted to come off the hip with it or whether he wanted to fix the items that we requested to have fixed, and we moved forward with the price that we agreed on. So he's mulling it over right now, and then he's going to get back with us. He's supposed to get back with us tomorrow and let us know what the decision is, whether we're going to take the responsibility of fixing it, or whether he's going to take the responsibility of fixing the items that we requested.
Okay. Good. All right, we have about 6 minutes left. What other?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Has anyone ever done an auction?
What kind of auction?
Like, so the housing, like, you know, a house auction, I guess.
You mean like
a real estate auction? Well, no, it's more like a private firm auction, I would say, where you get like registered bidders and like they start the house off at like 100K, and then people go in there, and each time someone bids, it increases it by like 1,000 or 2,000.
Okay.
Has anyone experienced that and been successful?
I haven't been successful, but have tried on a couple of different website ones. The biggest problem we had is people went in well above what we thought the house was worth at the very end. So we haven't won anything on that yet, but it doesn't mean we won't keep trying.
Yeah. Okay.
You know.
All right. Just that was my question. Okay. Thank you.
I've seen two different types. There's I do a lot in Gastonia, and there's a company here. The guy's a licensed auctioneer and real estate agent, and I get emails once or twice a month about properties that he's auctioning off, and those usually go to the highest bidder. So the challenge is, does it make sense financially? And our guideline for that always comes down to the rents.
Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Otherwise, there's Hubzoo, auction.com, all online.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
I have a super quick novice question. If we're looking just to lease, should we still go through a real estate agent, or can we just contact the seller ourselves? Is it wiser to go through a real estate agent, especially as newbies?
Is it listed?
It is listed.
So, it's listed. If it's listed, you should work through the agent.
Okay.
Because in most of those cases, the seller or the owner they're contractually bound to work with the agent anyway.
Should we get our agent to do it?
You could. The question comes up then, compensating
Yeah.
that agent.
Yeah.
That's what we were thinking. Okay.
Okay. When you do these, always look at the benchmarks. Okay. And I know Bonnie is bouncing back and forth with another call, but she does have some comments in the chat for some of these topics that came up.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. Is the, I'm sorry, Mr. Waters, to interject. Is the person that does NACA, are they on the call tonight? Does anyone know?
Well, the one that made that I think shortcut a lot of these is Eugene. He's not on the call, but I know some of you have gotten involved with NACA and seem to shortcut the process. So if you go to NACA.com, it's essentially it's kind of marketed as a first-time buyer, but it's not really first time. So it's for people that don't own a primary residence. Or if you owned a rental property and didn't own your own property, but you owned it in your name, you wouldn't qualify. But they have what seems to be the lowest interest rates available. Their loans are not based on your credit, it's based on your character. So they will do such things as, they'll take a look at your credit, but primarily they're looking at issues such as how are you in paying your bills? Can you put a budget together? Can you save money? And so on. So they're looking to make sure that based on your character that you are able to make responsible choices and responsibly handle your money. So some of you that have gone through NACA, what did you find recently about ways to shortcut the process?
So we shortcutted the process by simply networking. Eugene was the hobby millionaire to do it with us. And then also if you, sorry, I'm looking at Bonnie's chat. If you go on online to the NACA.com that's listed in the chat, you'll see when their dates are available. The earliest one for English speaking was on the 11th, and then they had a lot more if you had spoken a different language or bilingual, so if you can manage that, you can get in earlier, but also you can probably just email those on the website, email the people on the website to see if you can somehow get in, because we had someone who was in NACA who was able to get us in, so if you email them or can get a hold of Eugene, that's also a way to shortcut it.
Okay, thank you.
The other thing to look at with NACA is I've seen folks that they wanted to join up. When you start NACA, you have to go to a session where they tell you how it works and they assign you a counselor and so on. So one of the things that I've seen people do is they say, well, there's not one in Charlotte for 3 months, but I can go to Columbia or I can go to a smaller city and I can get in next week.
Well, it's all online now.
Right. Yeah, it's online, but what I'm saying is don't consider the fact that, well, I can't get into one in Charlotte for 3 months. You might be able to get into a city not far away a lot closer, a lot sooner. All right, so we have hit 8 o'clock. Adina, you want to close this up here?
I hate to close this up, but I guess I'm going to have to. Guys, that was a fun meeting. Those were some good questions. I was taking notes today. So, pop quiz. When is the next time that we are meeting?
Tuesday at noon.
Boom! Yes. Guys, we'll see you Tuesday at noon, Tuesday at 7, Wednesday at 7, Have a great weekend. And Curtis Bonnie, any words of wisdom before we go?
Take action.
There you go, guys. Take action. Bye. See you guys Tuesday.
Have
And
a
we have
good
Invest the
night.
World.
All right,
Bye,
bye.
everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right. Good night.